Tonight, a new era of lacrosse begins in the Salt City. Kayla Trainer makes her head coaching debut with Syracuse as the Orange take on number 13 Stanford. Pleasant good evening, Tim Nolan with you alongside Samantha Croston. Excited to bring this one to you because there are storylines abound for both sides.
There sure are. On Syracuse, you have a new head coach, a bunch of offensive weapons, so you know this is going to be a powerful start for this SU team. And on the Stanford side, guess what? Some of the best freshmen in the entire country. So there are going to be freshmen stepping on the field for the first game.
Those freshmen going on the field for the first time, and Trainer getting her first crack at a head coaching gig with none other than her alma mater.
And this is someone who just got off of winning the national championship at Boston College. She has experience at Harvard. And guess what? She has a couple of players now who are chasing after her records. So awesome for her to be at a school right now where she is with some players like Emily Harris-Chuck, who again was out last year, but now she's at the top of their list. She's strong, she's athletic, and she's going to be on the field making an impact for sure tonight.
So the Orange get Harris-Chuck back. Stanford, meanwhile, going to be without their leader for this one in Ali Bayako. So the Cardinal attack is going to be predicated upon the play of Galen Liu.
Absolutely, and Galen Liu, a person who is shifty, a player who's a lefty. She balances the offense, but most importantly of all, tonight, Tim, she's a captain, and they are going to have to rely on her leadership tonight without the help of Ali Bayako.
Taking a look at the starter in cage for the Cardinal, that is going to be Kara Ram, the junior from Ridgewood, New Jersey. She gets the nod in cage. Might also see Trudy Groton later on in this one. As for the Orange, big question mark was who was going to start in cage. It was going to take the week for Kayla Trainer and the program to decide. Delaney Switzer gets the nod initially, a transfer from USC. The Orange also have another transfer goalie in former North Carolina Tar Heel, Kimber Howard. Start of the 2022 campaign just moments away here in the Carrier Dome. The Orange, last season's runner-up, fell to Boston College in the national title. Meanwhile, Stanford fell in just the first round to Denver, and scheduling early season matchups on the East Coast was a huge focal point for Danielle Spencer and her staff to get that key experience early on.
And again, she didn't have that kind of experience last year, but now being able to play some of those tougher teams on the East Coast, she says either way, it's going to be success or experience.
Taking the draw, it's the freshman Annabelle Frisk going up against Mashevsky, who comes away with it. Spencer called her one of the best draw takers in the country heading into this season. She comes away with the first victory. Syracuse moving on to offense first. Again, this is a Syracuse team that fell just short of capturing its first national title in program history, and a couple veterans returning into the fold. Harris-Chuck out there. Swart controls meanwhile, and Tyrrell's got it, one of 5 Tewaaraton watch listers on this group.
And I gotta be honest, there's something just so special about seeing Emily Harris-Chuck back out there on the field.
Instead, it's a rip, a shot, and a goal from the freshman. Olivia Adamson gets the first tally of the season for the Orange, and the Cuse is up by 1 early on.
And make no mistake, even though Stanford has some of the best freshmen in the country, guess what? These Syracuse freshmen, they came to play. And Coach Trainer warned us, there's a couple of freshmen who you could see out on the field for the very first game. Count Olivia Adamson as one of them.
Yeah, Trainer was beaming about the play of Olivia Adamson this offseason, stepping up for Meg Carney, who's still trying to rehab from an ACL injury of her own. And Adamson, right out of the gate, no better way to have your freshman debut than score under a minute in.
And you'll love to see that. Everybody excited about it. And again, when you're a freshman, right, the best teacher is the game. Just getting out there, getting on the field, and taking some of those shots, that's how you really feel where you're at.
Highly touted freshman at the block S for Stanford. Frisk was rated number 48 in her recruiting class. One of a number of freshmen coming into this one for Stanford, as you mentioned, the top recruiting class in the country in 2021. Cockrell controlling at X. She set career highs in both points and assists last season. Another player that really came on strong during Syracuse's tournament run.
And in the past, we've seen Syracuse run that weave offense, that classic give-and-go offense that was started by Gary Gate. Well, Coach Trainer said you'll be seeing a little bit of that, but she's also adding some of her own offensive strategies.
It helps when you have players like Meg Tyrrell, led the team with 112 points last season. That was good for third most in program history as Cockrell drives on but she's stonewalled by Ram.
What a great save for Ram. And again, those saves are crucial, especially in the beginning of this game.
Ram, along with Lacrosse, also played tennis growing up. And Sam, I'm curious, how does that help you, and what are some other sports that can really help you to thrive as a goalie in college?
Look, it's always great to be well-rounded, and I guarantee you more than half of these athletes, they played other sports in high school. And some of those sports I would recommend, basketball, soccer, any of those sports where you can be really athletic, you can move around a lot, and it's fast-paced. A lot of those skills are transferable to the game of lacrosse.
Pass inside, a shot on the doorstep, a misses wide left. Shot by another talented freshman in Ashley Humphrey, went wide, but another chance on the doorstep for the Cardinal.
And a lucky miss wide there. That was right on the doorstep.
There's a big question mark with Syracuse's defense. Only Sarah Cooper returning as a starter. Another chance at the doorstep, and this time the Cardinal deliver. Into the scorers column go the Cardinal, and they knotted up at 1 apiece.
And it shows right out of the gate there. We know that Syracuse had one of the best defenses in the country all last year, but now with only Sarah Cooper returning, that is a look with no one on her. Not a whole lot that Delaney Switzer could have done about that one.
We kind of just forgot about Caitlin Tchaikovsky right there outside the crease. From Wellesley, Massachusetts, that's the first tally of the season for the Cardinal. So early on, we see the attack getting going for the Orange, but the defense, which was the big question mark, not able to survive that first real chance for the opposition.
But I will say I got the chance to speak with Asa Goldstock this week, asking her, how do you feel about Sam, about this defense, especially Sarah Cooper being the only one that is left? And she said, look, the defense is built around her, and it has been since she stepped foot on campus. She's excited to see her lead this program, especially after all that she has contributed over the past 3 seasons.
Back at the block S, Mashesky 2 for 2 thus far. Looking to make it 3 for 3 and get Syracuse moving on offense. Sure enough, she pulls away. Again, Spencer was really singing her praises at the draw, because on the other side, Stanford lost one of the best in the country last year in Genesis Lucero. She was second best in the nation in draw controls, and that's a big gap to fill, because there's only one woman on this team with more than 10 draw controls last season returning.
Yeah, they lost some of their best draw control athletes, and having someone like Kate Mashesky on the draw, that is going to be a problem all day long.
Jenny Markey playing catch with Maddie Baxter, who had a goal in every single NCAA tournament game last season. That's Tyrrell looking to drive. Feet inside for Harris Chuck. She's bodied to the ground. Grabbing her face for a moment, but play is going to be awarded to the Cardinal, and Stanford's away.
And a great defensive stop by Stanford, but I'll bring to your attention both of the offensive opportunities that they have had so far, they've had to get a defensive stop first.
And right back at you go the Orange. Interception there by Tess Query, but now it's being knocked towards goal line extended, where the Cardinal have an opportunity to counter.
And you see there how far outside of the cage Delaney Switzer is playing. This is a goalie that's athletic. She is going to be on top of you. Would not surprise me if she has a couple of interceptions throughout the course of this game, and certainly throughout the course of the season.
Aaron pass there by Lou, the focal point of this offense. Gives way to Liana McDowell. Now down with Sarah Jiggs from Darien, Connecticut. Guarded left and right by Tessa Query, one of 2 transfers into this Syracuse program, in the field that is. Query and also Samantha McKenna, 2 players that played together at Christian Brothers Academy.
And already, early in the start of this first quarter, you can hear some of this offensive communication. All the more important when you are playing with a lot of people who it's their first year playing together.
And to your point, not only for the defense, but how tough is it to bring in a new goalkeeper and have essentially an entirely new unit out there besides Sarah Cooper?
It's very difficult because you're relying on the one person who is there for the previous year. But again, Delaney Switzer, she's young, but I think she has the potential to be a leader.
There's Jay Brown there with the shot that missed wide. She's someone that Danielle Spencer is really proud about. And that's another goal right there. This time, Sarah Jakes gets into the scorer's column, and the Cardinal have an early 2-1 lead.
And Sarah Jakes, this is one of the freshmen who coach said you will definitely see her on the field right away. She took a year off last year. She redshirted specifically so that she could have a full season. And the fans loving it too, so happy. And can you blame them? They traveled a far way to come watch this game, Tim.
Yeah, this weather isn't quite Palo Alto outside, but to get to watch top 15 lacrosse in the Dome, no place better.
If I was at Stanford, I'm not sure I'd be traveling to Syracuse. I got to be honest.
So we were just talking about how Syracuse has a lot of newcomers on defense and putting that new unit together with Switzer and Cage. And both times there, you saw Sarah Cooper sliding over and nobody filling her place. You know, how difficult is that to replicate in a game versus just doing it with new faces in practice?
In my opinion, a lot of that comes back to communication. And I'm sure that Sarah Cooper is probably trying her best, telling people exactly where they're supposed to be, but it takes a team. It takes a village to make that happen, especially on that second and third slide.
Something that's been consistent thus far for the Orange, though, is the draw. But not this time. Stanford, the beneficiary of the infraction there.
And those draws just critical throughout the course of this game, because if Stanford has to always have their offensive opportunities after they made a defensive stop, that's just going to make it all the more difficult for them to score.
Brown with it from Dallas, Texas. Suffered an ACL injury that ended her season last year against Arizona State, ended up rehabbing at the same exact place as Meg Carney in Texas, the two of them best friends since they were younger. And it's Brown on the field today looking to make a play. Control that X is Jocks. Nifty pass to get inside, behind the head shot just wide by Humphrey.
And again, a lucky break. So far we've seen a couple of those passes right into the middle.
Yeah, right in front of the crease there. Has been exposed for Syracuse a couple times early on. Control on the far side. Galen Liu has been holding it down early on in this one.
And you can see that defense pressing heavily out on her because they know that this offense revolves around Galen Liu.
Again, Syracuse sliding two defenders. We're going to see our first yellow card in this one. They're going to get Sam Swart there for the infraction, and she's going to have to sit out for 2.
And Syracuse has always been the type of team to push out on defense, but again, they're just a little bit too much pressure, and now she'll have to sit this out for a couple minutes.
Yeah, cross-checking to the shoulders and back this year. It's encouraged by all officials to call that a card every single time, and sure enough, we see it put into action. Sam Swart going to have to take a seat real quick. Cardinal have an early advantage, already up 2-1.
And on defense, that's a tough situation because you want to be aggressive, but it's also important to stay composed.
Nice, another feed on the doorstep and another goal for the Cardinal. This time, Ailish Kelly, the beneficiary. Stanford's got an early 2-goal lead.
And that is just easy money. You see right now, looking behind the crease, a quick pass, a quick shot. That is a textbook play for this Stanford offense. It's clear they've practiced this one a couple times before.
Really, again, nothing that Switzer can do. And while you can talk all you want about the Syracuse attack, this far, if the defense can't push it into the attacking zone, there's really nothing that you can do at this point. Stanford's offense, even without Ali Bayako and their best freshman in Madigan Miller, this offense has looked plenty potent.
And to come to the defense of Delaney Switzer, you're right, it's a difficult situation to be in. First time starting for the Orange, but right now, some of those shots, very difficult to save when they're right on the doorstep. Not really too much defense in sight.
Spencer is sticking with Frist on the draw against Mashesky, who comes away with another one. Orange trailing in this one early.
But the draw is something that can save them. Kate Mashesky in every single game. This is a player who is consistently great.
It's Meg Carney getting into the action for the first time this season. Another one of Syracuse's top players, another Tewaaraton watch lister, making her first return to action since April of last season.
And you can see Stanford, their defense, a little bit more conservative. Everybody's sort of milling around that 8-meter arc, just waiting to see exactly how Syracuse is going to play this.
Harris looking for an angle, but misses wide left.
But check out the heat on that shot.
So dangerous. One of the favorites this year to maybe even capture the award for the best player in the country. Swart looking for a lane to drive, instead flips it back, and Carney finds Twine. Welcome back, Meg Carney. Syracuse back down by 1.
And there's that weave we've all been looking for. That is exactly what we saw last year, that kind of quick offensive set. Megan Carney, a rip, a shot, Cuse, Cardinal in the dome. We'll see you back here in a few minutes.
Megan Carney gets the Orange 1 goal closer. Stanford still maintains a 1-goal lead as we enter the back half of the first quarter. Another new thing the NCAA is doing this season. But the mainstays for Syracuse, 5 Tewaaraton watch listers for the Orange, a loaded group.
And I have to say, someone that I want to draw your attention to is Emma Tyrrell. First of all, so cool that both of the Tyrrell sisters play on the same team. They're both on this watch list. But Emma Tyrrell was somebody who later in the season really stepped up for this team, made a difference.
She really stepped up, and as you see Carney there, all smiles. It's got to feel good to come back from an injury like that, to rehab. She even admitted that there were days where she needed to confine in one of her good friends, and Jay Brown. Like, these days are tough, this recovery is hard, but they pushed each other, and it's got Carney back playing in this one and getting on the score sheet early.
And just for all of these players, I gotta be honest, I was jealous just watching everybody out here. It's just a great feeling for everybody to be back on the field.
Now Spencer switching it up and going with her most experienced draw taker left on this roster in Mackenzie Chapman, a senior. This time a more competitive draw, but because of the shove, Syracuse gets possession. Moving in transition is Hayley Simkins, younger sister of Ella Simkins, one of the focal points of last year's runner-up roster. Lob pass, though, to nobody really by Jenny Markey, but she's able to get it back.
And that's something I will say about Syracuse on offense, especially if there is sometimes a bad pass or a mediocre pass. They are always fighting to get those second and third opportunities.
And one thing Trainer said she wants to see is a dynamic offense. So we saw the weave earlier, but now it's more so just rotating around. What have you noticed about some of the other different looks that Syracuse is offering?
Well, again, she has some of that give-and-go looks, but she's also doing a little bit of two-man and even some more free-form offense. I think in the beginning for her, she's trying to still find this team's identity. They're trying to figure out who they are on the offensive end, but luckily they do have a lot of experience and a lot of weapons returning from last year.
Here's one of the returning weapons for Stanford, and Natalie Bond, one of the captains of this group. Despite not really playing much last season, it's an experienced but not experienced team for Stanford because a number of juniors and seniors are getting their first crack at it.
Such an interesting dynamic with that. And again, Coach Spencer saying that, in a sense, they're young on both ends of the field. On the defensive end, you have some people who aren't really playing too much, haven't in the past at least, but they're juniors and seniors. Then on the offensive end, you have mostly freshmen and sophomores.
Jake's got it right now at the free position. It's been a sore spot for Syracuse last season, but she opts not to shoot and works it back. A lane there for Humphrey. She's closed off.
And you saw Sarah Jakes opting not to shoot. I think that's a smart play. You have 60 seconds left on the shot clock. Plenty of time to set something up. And again here, you'll see another free position shot. This is a tough situation because it's not a great angle.
Humphrey, a two-time All-American in college. Instead, she opts to pass as well. Knocked around in front of Cage, and Switzer comes away with the ground ball.
Now we'll get to see how she does under pressure.
Yeah, being hounded mercilessly by Jakes. Able to finally get the ball free. Now the Orange looking to make something happen in transition. That's Goodale, one of the newer defensive members of this team. She's only a sophomore and someone that Coach Trainer was really happy with her development this offseason, stepping into a starting role.
Credit to Stanford's ride as well. Coach Spencer was saying that was one of their strong points, but at this point, 55 seconds left on the shot clock. It took a lot of time for that Syracuse offense to really bring the ball down the field.
The Orange really just trying to get familiar with some of these newer offensive looks that Trainer's introduced to the program. Baxter playing catch up top with Jenny Markey. And now another transfer. Sister goalie Delaney Switzer, Savannah Switzer, getting into the mix. Looking for an angle there, but throwing it away where it's ultimately corralled by Harishuk. Being checked nonstop. Instead, she opts to go with it, but misses wide left again. Emily Harishuk inching ever so close to that first goal back.
You know it's coming. You can feel it.
You also knew that one was coming. Hello, Emma Tyrrell, her first goal of the season, and we're knotted up at 3 apiece.
And we've talked about Emma Tyrrell's influence being on this team. Her ability to shake a defender one-on-one is maybe one of the most impressive things about her. That was straight up one defender. She said, I'm going to take you straight on, and it resulted in a goal.
Time by the Cardinal after Tyrrell knots up Syracuse and Stanford here in what has been a really highly contested matchup. And it seems like whichever team maintains possession and offense for more than 30, 40 seconds, their offense is just going to break the defense by virtue of talent.
We knew coming into this game that it was about to be a thriller, but it has not let us down in any way so far.
And you hit on it. I mean, the fact that Emma Tyrrell has stepped in so seamlessly, she was asked to do a lot last season, especially after Meg Carney went down. And yet she stepped in effortlessly, and it's a big reason why she's been recognized on the watch list for some of the best players in the country going into this year.
I mean, it was unbelievable, some of the things that she was accomplishing. She was doing well as far as points and goals. She was also getting some draw controls, doing that all, by the way, in only 8 starts last year.
Yeah. In just 8 starts. She ended up with 57 points last season. She took off in the second half.
Her first game starting at attack, this was last year, she scored a career high 6 goals, finished with a career best 7 points. That's a debut. That's a Mount Sinai debut, Tim.
Well, you see the first midfield line getting back into the mix for the Orange. Switzer, another transfer from USC along with her sister. One of the real newcomers in the fold for this group, otherwise a lot of regulars for Syracuse. Swart opts not to pass off. This time she gets it to Harishuk. Again looking for the angle. Instead slips one inside, but Tyrrell's shot was stopped.
So close. But now we're starting to see with Syracuse that familiar weave, that give and go. And I think for this Syracuse offense, that's what's comfortable. And they've been doing that for so long under Coach Gate and now under Coach Trainer.
Emma Capana, sophomore, was the one who brought that across midfield for Stanford. Now Lou's got it, looking for an angle. She's yet to score in this one, but she's been doing a ton on offense, moving this group around. One pass there, though, fought for by Cockrell. Cardinal ultimately come away with it. Capana again with another ground ball.
And we're seeing this ball on the ground a decent amount for both teams, but always in the first game of the season, you see a little bit of that sloppy play, but you're able to reflect on those mistakes so that come May, you're ready to go.
Again on the doorstep, though, and look at that.
Oh, no, that was disrespectful.
Ailish Kelly take a bow, her second tally of the game, and the Cardinal back on top.
And again, that was as a sophomore, being able to pull that off, just incredible. But look at the positioning. She could have had any shot she wanted there, but the behind the back, the flare, that's not a shot you're going to forget anytime soon.
Spencer says she was that dark horse in the midfield that we expect to do some damage. I would consider that some damage. One away from a hat trick for Kelly. Puts her side up on top. The Cardinal on the road in this one. Big East Coast swing for Stanford. They'll also be playing UAlbany on Sunday. And then they're going to have another big East Coast road trip coming up later on this season, taking on both Virginia and Richmond.
And we know that Coach Spencer said she wanted to go up against some of these more difficult teams because she said it is great learning opportunities, but it's also fun for the team to play against some different programs they haven't seen.
100%. She also said, look, you need to win Friday to play Sunday in the tournament, so why not replicate this right now?
And it's so true. That's a quick turnaround time.
Simkins able to corral it before it went out of bounds. I was
And
looking for someone to flip it to.
You see how far out Hayley Switzer is there. If anybody needs her, if they need to switch the direction of the ball, that reminds me of Asa Goldstock play.
Yeah, she looked awfully comfortable when she was being pressured on that previous sequence by Jakes. Really nifty on her feet.
And I'm sure we'll get to this more later, but don't forget, probably easier for her to do considering that in her travel ball, she was going up against boys every single day for 5 years.
Back on offense, though, Swart controlling, looking for her first tally of the 2022 campaign. Now the sisters playing catch in Emma Tyrrell and Megan. Tara Cockrell yet to score, and she bounces one right into the spoon of Ram. Another stop there by the junior from Ridgewood.
And another great save. I will say so far against Ram, the memo seems to be do not shoot low.
And she's been stopping them every single time. A couple big saves on the doorstep early on for the junior. Annabelle Frist, this is the freshman that really impressed Coach Spencer the most for the Cardinal. Toss her now at Brown, and left alone is Galen Liu, who opts to then flip it to X. Vulnerable spot here for the Orange.
Illegal statement.
But how important is it to have a player like Galen Liu, who's a prolific scorer, attracting all that attention without even intending to score sometimes?
It's difficult, but she's the kind of player who's selfless, and that's exactly what they need. Oh, that's unlucky.
Stanford inches away from returning to a 2-goal lead. Instead, Orange with a chance in transition. Swart rushing to it, she gets knocked to the floor. So the Orange able to keep possession. Swart actually trained with the U.S. women's national team alongside her own coach in Kayla Trainer and assistant Kenzie Kent.
And that's something that I love about Coach Trainer is that she's so present. She's still a player. So she's very active as far as her presence on the field, even as a coach.
Well, think about it. I mean, Megan Tyrrell has said in the past that the reason she picked up a stick was Kayla Trainer. I mean, these girls really admire their coach because of what she did in the past, and now she's leading them to victory.
Icon, only word to describe it.
Again, don't go low on Kara Ram. She's going to stop it. Harrisjuk denied again. Third save for Ram.
And it feels like more. 3 saves, but these are big, big saves that she is coming up with. It's the reason right now why Stanford is in the lead.
And the Cardinal will take that lead to the second quarter. Stanford up by 1, looking to make some real noise in the season opener against the number 3 team in the country. Olivia Adamson started the scoring in this one, but the Cardinal responded in a big way on the doorstep multiple times. Second quarter coming up. Well, coming into this season, Kara Ram was expected to split time with Trudy Groton in cage, but the way she's playing right now, doesn't look like she wants to give up that job anytime soon.
I mean, hey, why pick something that's not broken? So far, she has been the player of the game. These saves, so critical, and the message, do not go low on Kara Ram. I see that some of these are right on the doorstep. These are not easy saves to be making, and she's getting out of the cage, she's being aggressive, and she's saving pretty much all of the shots so far.
Yeah, that eye-hand coordination between the wickets is huge for Ram right now. That's where every single save has come practically. And it's a big reason why the Cardinal have a 1-goal lead heading into the second quarter.
And that's one of those things, if I'm a coach on the Syracuse side right now, I'm saying we need some better shot placement. We need to be picking and choosing where we are going to take shots on Kara Ram, because that spot right in the middle there, that's not going to work. She'll save that all day long.
If you're just tuning in, you're probably thinking, wait a minute, I thought we play 2 halves of 30 minutes. This is a new thing the NCAA has introduced this year, 4 15-minute quarters, with the intention of speeding up the pace of play in total. You have that 1 timeout at the next stoppage of the under 8. And there's also no more pregame stick checks, which I know, Samantha, you love as a new rule.
I think it's great. I think all of these rule changes are great. I actually got the chance to speak with somebody from the NCAA Rules Committee. Really interesting logic as to why they decided to do this. You said it before, improve the pace of play. They're also trying to contribute to the growth of the game, and I think it will do just that. And another interesting thing, this really stuck out to me, it's more coaching interaction. It's more opportunity for them to be strategic about, okay, how should we be switching things up right now?
And one of those switch-ups we've seen already, a change at the face-off X for the Cardinal. That's the first win of the game for Mackenzie Chapman.
And Coach Spencer had said she is going to be splitting draw controls between at least 4 people, maybe even 6, but there are a couple that are injured right now.
Humphrey patrols at X, being pressured by Goodale. On the doorstep, but a save made by Switzer. And look at the hustle to win the ball is Katie Goodale. And for a hit to the head, that is going to be a mandatory yellow card. That's another new thing this year. While that is typically called in the past, that is now a mandatory yellow for the strike to the face.
And again, you have to think, that foul, totally preventable, but it started with that hustle play, and it gets the other team a little bit fired up. Sometimes it leads to fouls like that.
Goodale from Riverhead, New York. Hard to play as a freshman, said her coach, Kayla Trainer, so her ability to step up right now as a sophomore and really fit in seamlessly has been huge for this defensive group. Other end, Aaron passed there, corralled, and Swartz got it, swinging around, playing catch with Sierra Cochran.
And you can see, compared to the first quarter, it does seem like Syracuse women's lacrosse is starting to settle in a little bit on this offense. It's looking a little bit cleaner, looking a little more patient.
On the man up, there's so much more space, and alley-oop almost to Tyrrell, but another stop from Ram.
Oh, that was dirty. That was dirty. What a save.
They had it set up completely on the backside, too. You saw no one was paying attention to Tyrrell except for the keeper.
Absolutely robbed.
Cardinal offense trying to make the most of that stoppage and go back up by 2 goals. This is going to be the first of 3 ranked teams the Cardinal play this year. They'll also host Denver in a couple weeks and then travel to number 11 Virginia later on this season.
And I really want to emphasize how important that save specifically was by Kara Ram, because you see, says it right there on the screen, right now Syracuse is warming up, but they lost out on that offensive opportunity. Now Stanford can take their time, hold the ball, and let this clock run out until they're back to full strength.
And that possession clock is going to keep going for 10 more ticks beyond the man up. So Stanford can continue to just let this woman up drown out and then get going with plenty of time to facilitate a goal scoring opportunity.
And if there is one thing I know about women's lacrosse, it's that even 5 seconds can be plenty of time.
Not deciding to go just yet. It's Brown, who is so dangerous as a facilitator at X for this team. Being doubled as the possession clock winds under 10. Lou controlling, finds a cutter. Humphrey's got to get a shot off inside, and another goal for the Cardinal. This time it is Annabelle Frisk getting into the score sheet, and Stanford's up 5-3.
Could not have timed it any better. Could not have placed it any better. And that's what we mean about Galen Lou. She always knows exactly where to throw the ball. And you saw, Syracuse was warming up all of a sudden, runs in. Now we have a full-strength team, and there was hardly any time left on the shot clock. But I told you, Tim, I told you that was going to be enough time.
There you go. And to your point, the second Humphrey was released and you came into the fold, completely different offense. Danielle Spencer rallying up her group here. This is her 3rd season as head coach of the Cardinal. And she says she wants to do some special things here at Stanford, and that was her recruiting pitch. Look, try something new. Try something exciting and come out here, because Palo Alto has its own attractiveness. She's brought in a world-class coaching staff with Brittany Oration and Megan Whittle, a former All-American at Maryland. And oh, by the way, they have a volunteer assistant in former Syracuse goalie Liz Hogan.
It's a loaded coaching staff, and I love, you talk about her pitch. Hey, look, try something different, try something new. I love the fact that that was her pitch, not only with the players, but also with the coaches. Come on, don't you want to try something different?
And it results in a win for the Cardinal once again on the draw. We're going to keep building on that lead on the road. Caroline Mondiello, another one of those inexperienced upperclassmen. She played in just one game last season, but getting good run early on in this one.
And especially if Stanford can get a couple more of these draw controls, now they're really starting to even the playing field.
Another double at X comes this time. Humphrey being trusted there at X to really run the offense. And now it's the lead attacker in Galen Liu.
That was a great job by Galen Liu as well, just making sure that she recovered from that pass. You saw it was a little low, but Galen Liu stays composed.
Syracuse group on defense just trying to figure out slides. Close check there to the head. No call from the officials, and now the pressure is going to be called on Maddie Baxter.
And you can see a foul that has burned them before a couple of times in this game. It's a matter of finding the balance between being aggressive, but also staying composed.
Brown started outside the 12-meter, but yet she still wants to keep it herself. And now, caught out a prime opportunity for a free position outside the 8.
And 25 seconds on the shot clock, so still some time, but this is also a pretty decent hash.
And a big spot here for Switzer again. Trainer did not commit to only using her in this game. You could also see Kimber Hauer, so this is a big opportunity for the USC transfer. Nice closeout there by Cooper, forces the shot wide.
And especially when a shot goes wide, no harm, no foul, as long as one of those Stanford players are there to back it up. No worse feeling than when you get a turnover because nobody was there to back up the shot.
That time it was Humphrey as the backstop. Now trying to get it inside, but Baxter brings it away. Orange looking to make something happen in transition.
And this is something that last year used to be a strength of Syracuse's. We'll see if it is again.
Tyrrell flips it across. Harishuk lines up. And she's going to get a free position opportunity.
And this is something that Harishuk has always been good at, drawing that free position opportunity. Might even be a good thing she did. She was pretty right on the doorstep there. It could have been a tough situation.
She loads up and she meets the pad of Ram.
Have a day, Ram.
Kara Ram playing out of her mind right now, but the Cardinal can't clear, and Syracuse makes them pay. This time, Megan Tyrrell scores. The Orange back within 1.
And I bet you that that play is one that Coach Spencer is going to be upset about because, again, a great save by Ram off of somebody who I think has one of the fastest shots in all of women's lacrosse, but you can't get the clear off, and it results in a goal.
Tyrrell, who really carried this group last season without Harishuk, and later on without Meg Carney, she did it all. 112 points, 2-time Georgian watch lister, and just to emphasize the embarrassment of riches that this group has, I mean, she is one of 3 players that could step up and be the top player at most other programs in the country.
Oh, it's absurd. And Coach Trainer even said with Meg Tyrrell, look, not only is she a dynamic player, she is the leader for us on the offense, straight up. And she's earned it.
Chesky has not been pulled away from the block as she's taken every draw for the Orange in this one so far.
And honestly, I think it would take a lot for you to see her pulled off of the draw, whereas some other teams have 3, 4, 5, maybe even 6 draw takers. Chesky is really the person who takes the draw controls for Syracuse pretty much at all times.
This time Stanford coming away for it. The Cardinal looking to get back to that 2-goal advantage, but that last offensive set for Syracuse looked probably like their most confident all game.
It certainly has, and especially in these first few games, I think that this Syracuse defensive group is just going to have to figure out their identity, work on their communication just a little bit, because again, there are so many people from last year that they just don't have anymore.
A lot of space there being given to Caitlin Tchaikovsky. She opts not to take it and flip it back to X. Another double coming at Humphrey, who's looked pretty comfortable back there so far for Stanford. Kelly, sitting a goal away from a hat trick, flips it out. Stanford just looking for the prime opportunity to strike on this Syracuse defensive unit. Flip inside, just out of the reach of Lou, and the Orange come away with it.
And a defensive set like that, that is the reason why this Syracuse defensive unit likes to pressure out. Because if you take a risk, sometimes you get a reward.
And when you do have a younger defensive group out there, how huge is it to have a player like Sam Swart that can really push this group in transition?
It's crucial. And especially, we talked about how young this defense is. I think it's pretty impressive that Coach Trainer is still sticking to, hey, let's have everybody push out, because it makes it seem like it's not a young defense. It makes it seem like it's a confident defense.
And she also didn't really commit to the look that we were seeing from, that we would be seeing from Syracuse. Whether it be man or zone, it looks like the Cardinal are sticking with that man against the Syracuse weave. This time it gives Tyrrell an opportunity to bounce one just over the spoon of Ram and into the back of the net. Another one for Meg Tyrrell, and we're knotted up at 5 apiece.
Outside of our one behind the back shot so far, this might have been my favorite shot of the day, of the night. That spin move, it was clean. We'll have more action coming up.
Back knotted up with the Cardinal. These two teams have met 4 times before, and the past couple meetings have been very hotly contested.
That last meeting in 2011, Cardinal earned its first victory in the all-time series in an 11-10 win, and it seems like that type of close game, that might be where we're headed tonight.
And this is only the 5th meeting between Syracuse and Stanford, but you got the sense from Danielle Spencer that playing these East Coast powers is something that the Cardinal want to do more and more every single year as they establish themselves as the front runners of the West Coast and really become a major player in national lacrosse as a whole.
Well, because I thought this was interesting. We asked her on that 11-0 record to start the season, how did you feel about that? Wasn't it a great feat? And she said, I actually think it's important that we stay humble. You know, we had a great conference slate, but we weren't playing some of these bigger teams. So again, I think that this competition is something that she was really looking forward to.
Draw control knocked away as the road is going to be a big factor in how good Stanford is come tournament time, because you look at that, they're at UAlbany on Sunday, then you also have a Virginia swing that features Richmond and the number 11 team in the country in the Who's. Now, these East Coast games are paramount for a team that once NCAA tournament play begins, you're automatically going to the Midwest or you're going to the East Coast. So you need to incorporate that travel early on to give a group as experienced as this team a very, very valuable chance to show what they got and just get that experience.
And Coach Spencer said it, anytime that she has the opportunity to go up against a top team, she's going to take it. Doesn't matter if she has to travel, that's what she's going to do. You gotta be kidding me, Ram. You gotta be kidding me.
Talk about making the most of opportunities. Ram has been unstoppable thus far in cage. And we also have not seen Trudy Groton play yet in this one. It has been all Kara Ram in cage, and why not? She has a plethora of saves early on. She has been dynamite in net and kept this a tie ball game.
And it's not just the confidence that those saves give Stanford. It's how hard it makes it for some of these Syracuse offensive players. Mentally, that is challenging. That is taxing.
Seeing a lot of those doubles come from Syracuse. Seems like that's a little bit of the MO of Trainer's defense and more so assistant Brittany Oration.
And we've seen that pay off. We've also seen them get burnt by that. So again, it's a risk-reward type of defense.
This time it pays huge dividends that the Orange have a woman advantage in transition. Looks like a whack there to the goggles of Baxter. Tyrrell calmly controls for Syracuse, looking to regain the lead.
Syracuse's transition game, that is something that used to be a problem for other teams. That was the kind of thing where you could see 3, 4, 5 goals a game scored off of transition goals. But so far, Cardinal doing a good job making sure that they are slowing down this offense.
Clears last season, Orange were good for 13th best in the country at over 90%. So it's going to be key to see how Syracuse can maintain those numbers with a new unit pushing the ball the other way. And that time, Syracuse takes the lead back. It's Meg Tyrrell again. Left all alone on the doorstep, and she blows this one by Ram.
Meg Tyrrell, unstoppable, and it's actually the Tyrrell connection. Can never get enough of that, but Meg Tyrrell is somebody who off ball works so well. It always seems like she's in the right place at the right time, right on the doorstep. Not much Ram can do in that situation.
It's a hat trick for Tyrrell in the first half, mind you. She has been dynamite for Syracuse thus far. You couldn't expect anything else from a Toronto Town watch lister and the team's best player last season.
And that's the part that's almost comical. A hat trick in the first half, that's nothing new. That's just your average day for Megan Tyrrell.
Tyrrell, 112 points last season. 3 goals early on in this one. 67 goals last season. Career highs in every category for her.
In some ways, it still feels like she's just getting started.
She's pacing Syracuse thus far. The team leader has the Orange back up by 1 in the season opener of this 2022 campaign. Sister Emma shoved out of the way, so the Orange take possession over, and Trainer's group has a chance to go up by 2.
And it seems like out of all of the draw controls we've seen, that one has to rank somewhere in the most important, because we've sort of seen a change of pace so far. Syracuse has the lead. Now they have an opportunity to extend it by 2.
And these are uncharted waters for the Cardinal, because last year you had the draw controls locked down. So now when you're behind and you're losing draw controls, it can be frightening for the team, as Harris-Check's got some space driving in, knocked to the turf, and yet she's going to get called for the foul for charging into the defense.
And you can see on that Syracuse sideline, the heads are shaking, upset with that call, boos in the crowd.
Fans upset. Cardinal pleased with the result. Stanford looking for an opportunity to knot this one back up. 5 turnovers apiece for both teams. Pretty much everything even besides the score on the board at the moment.
And in a way, I'm surprised to see that not called.
Instead, Switzer gets a nice clap on the back there by Sarah Cooper. She gets her team in transition. Query the Harvard transfer. Tosses it over to fellow transfer Savannah Switzer.
And you can see now, just for half a second, when Meg Tyrrell has that ball, she decided, we're going to slow it down this time around. Just because you have a transition opportunity doesn't always mean you have to take it, and that's something I really like about her.
So none of these veterans have a real calming presence about their play. The ability to just kind of work things back and know that you've got plenty of time on the possession clock. Let's find the best opportunity possible against a defense that is really pushing Syracuse's buttons.
The lacrosse IQ on this team is off the charts, but again, one of those passes that you just really wish you had back.
And that's another pass that says you haven't played lacrosse in over a year.
Right.
Harris-Check hasn't taken the field in 356 days in an actual game. So this team's still trying to feel each other out early on and get a sense of the attack.
And it's also this offensive group. Sure, a lot of the people on that side have some experience, but it's been a long time since they've all played together, and it takes a while, at least a couple of games, to really build and develop that chemistry.
A couple freshmen for the Cardinal, though, integrating seamlessly into the offense. Humphrey there, able to draw the shooting space foul.
And you can see just a little too much of a push on it, and a card will result.
Yeah, so initially she was stepped in front of. Now she's able to work around her defender. The card there issued to Sierra Cockrell. You saw Sam Swart going to the bench there thinking, could that be two? Could she be done already in the first half? Repeat of potentially the national championship when Tyrrell had those 2 yellows back-to-back that haunts Orange fans. This time, though, it's only the first yellow for Cockrell. It puts the freshman Humphrey with a position to rip one on Cage. Instead, she opts to work it back to fellow freshman Annabelle Frist.
And in a way, I'm happy to see that because she's on the best hash of all. So it's hard to pass that opportunity up. But with 90 seconds on the shot clock, you have to do it.
And it results in an opportunity for Galen Liu. Well, she's going to be given an opportunity to charge from the 8. She's deferred a lot early on, has yet to score in this one. So what do you think? She's going to be selfish, or is she going to continue to work within this offense?
Oh, no. I could be wrong, but I do not think she's taking that shot. Yeah, no way. Just because it's a woman-up opportunity, 70 seconds left on the shot clock, and also just knowing her personality, she's all selfless.
And
there
right
it is.
The selflessness
there it is.
results in another goal for the talented freshman Annabelle Frist.
And you love to see it for Galen Liu because, again, do not underestimate how much pressure she is under, especially without having Ali Bayako with her. Everybody, all the attention is on Galen Liu, and she says, if you're not going to let me score, guess what? I'm going to assist it, and I'm going to make you pay.
This is a Stanford team, mind you, that is without its lone towards and watch lister in Ali Bayako. They don't have the top freshman in the top incoming class in the country in Madigan Miller. She was the number 6 recruit in the 2021 crop. And yet Danielle Spencer's group has this one knotted up on the road at 6 apiece, and the offense looks like it hasn't skipped a beat.
It's impressive. It really is impressive. That's the only word I can use to describe it.
Krzyzewski has really paced the Orange nicely at the block S with the face-off wins. Another draw control there for the junior. Syracuse really pulling away in that category. Aside from that, everything else is pretty much knotted up between these two top 15 teams.
And Syracuse now, you can see, slowing it down. Coach Trainer has her hands up. She's trying to send messages telling this team to take their time. This is the kind of possession where you don't want to give it up.
90 seconds left. And Trainer looks like she's holding up play cards. That time it was a cat that was being shown to the offense. But does it result in some scratches or a whimper? This time knocked away in front of Cage. Too wide the shot was by Emma Tyrrell. Transition opportunity for the Cardinal.
And a couple of shots so far we've seen just a little unlucky, or lucky if you're Stanford. I guess it depends on who you ask.
Luck's something that Spencer harped on last year to win all those regular season games. She said, look, some of those overtimes, they just happen to go our way. And it's why she emphasizes the importance of playing these non-con games, these tougher opponents that maybe some other teams are used to seeing in the Pac-12, because you really get to push your team and see what the group is made of.
Well, and I thought it was funny that she said, hey, we had some overtimes where we got lucky. To me, I think some players stepped up. I saw that Ali Bayako had 4 game-winning goals. To me, that doesn't feel like luck, Tim.
In a close one without Bayako, who's going to be the facilitator, the igniter for the Cardinal? So far, it's been Lou. A lot of Annabelle Frist and Ailish Kelly as well. This time, Anna Griffiths got it. Works it to Lou, who looked for some space inside. And the buzzer sounds before Syracuse can keep anything else rolling. Knotted up after 30 minutes of play. Number 13 Stanford and number 3 Syracuse knotted up. Tyrrell's got a hat trick in this one. Nifty finishes inside and out, but Lou's selflessness has resulted in a tie game at the break. Knotted up at 6s apiece here in the Carrier Dome. And while I'm here with all of you, I'm not the only Newhouse student in action. We're also pretty well represented on Stanford's end of the coast out in Los Angeles at SoFi Stadium and Super Bowl 56.
Yeah, and if you don't believe us, just take a look.
Welcome to the Super Bowl experience. This is where fans get to take part of the festivities. There's interactive activities, there's exhibits, there's the NFL shop, and there's so much more. Take a trip down the red carpet. Hello everyone, welcome to beautiful SoFi Stadium, the venue of Super Bowl 56 in Los Angeles, California. It weighs 1,000 tons. It's the largest scoreboard in the entire world.
Radio Row is the best place to cover the Super Bowl. So many faces from so many places. But with the emergence of Zoom, it's now become more accessible. Anyone can ask any question from anywhere. These industry giants could add to their legendary status with a big performance on the world's biggest stage. Zoom has changed the way sports are covered, so get on board. From Radio Row in Los Angeles, Jenna Leake.
The rise in Super Bowl betting is thanks to these.
More than 80% of the action is online.
So for the novice bettors out there, it's really never been easier to get some skin in the game, but try not to overcomplicate things. That could cost you.
Watch those mount pointers.
Oh, that's good! That's good! Let's go! Let's go! Back it up! Back it up!
Regardless of who you talk to, the best advice ahead of the big game is to bet responsibly, nothing out of budget, but still have a good time. And if football's not your game, that's okay. You can bet on pretty much anything. That includes the color of the Gatorade. For Citrus TV, I'm Brad Klein.
This weekend, Cincinnati Bengals defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo is in the spotlight, coaching in his first Super Bowl. But we often focus a little too much on the final destination in sports, not as much the journey. How does one get from Staten Island to SoFi Stadium? For that, we got to travel back in time. Even with the additions of Donald and Weddle, there was still a little bit more room for the Rams to add.
It's 1990. And after just one season as part-time running backs coach.
So you went back and watched a lot of Nickelodeon. What's your favorite Spongebob episode? Do you have one?
Favorite Spongebob? I mean, that's impossible, Ben.
Everybody knows it's in LA where legends are born. It's a soft bet, I have to say. Keep my shoes on the thing as to not muddy it up. That's nice. That's a nice mattress.
For all of us here at the LA Convention Center, thank you to Newhouse and the Newhouse Sports Media Center for making it possible.
Brad and Jaron, thanks so much for the update from Los Angeles. Back here in the Dome, Syracuse and Stanford knotted up at 6 apiece in the season opener. We'll have highlights and first half stats coming up after this. Knotted up at the half. It has been everything we expected here in the Carrier Dome between two top 15 teams in the country in 2022. Tim Nolan and Samantha Croston back with you. And Samantha, let's take a look at that first half, which was full of really everything we expected from both sides.
It was everything under the sun, and I normally don't say this, but it was great defensive play. It was also great offensive play. I think that's why we're tied up right now.
Big reason we're tied up is because of the play of Kara Ram in cage for Stanford. She has been fantastic thus far for the away side.
Craziest thing, during the break, I looked up disrespectful, a picture of Kara Ram showed up. She has been unreal so far with her level of play. She is making those doorstop saves that you would never expect somebody to make.
Look at the Orange side. The lone times that Ram has not been there to stop the Orange, it's been the Super Sisters getting it done for Syracuse. Emma and Megan Tyrrell have been on fire.
It is that Tyrrell action, that Tyrrell connection. You just never get sick of seeing it, but really at the helm of it all is Megan Tyrrell. She is the leader of this offense. It's going to be that way the entire season, Tim.
Tyrrell with a hat trick leads all scorers in this one, and Syracuse leading most of the categories early on, except for the saves. Ram is a big reason why this game is still tied up at 6 apiece.
And I have to say, that is the biggest thing that is sticking out to me right now is those saves. Ram is leading in that category despite Syracuse having 4 more shots. It's pretty impressive.
The big reason why the score is the way it is also is because Kayla Mashevsky has been dominant on the draw. Knotted up at 6s, second half action is just moments away. Stick with us for the final 30. Well, Syracuse might have just made a new acquisition to the team at the half. That is Maddie Hartwick, member of Team Impact, an honorary member of this Syracuse group. And no better birthday present than some new orange threads.
Oh, she's getting a jersey. I love that, and look how happy. What a great way to spend your birthday.
No better place than the Dome. No better place for us to be as well, because this game has been everything and then some between two of the top teams in the country.
I feel like it's my birthday, Tim, honestly.
Very special moment there for Hartwick, is she still got gifts coming. I mean, we cut away from that. Next thing you know, she's going to get a stick. Maybe she gets, some signed apparel as well.
Oh, there was definitely more coming.
I'd like something signed from Kayla Trainer. I mean, to have someone like Trainer leading this Syracuse group, multiple players really looked up to her as their coach. Oh, wait. What? Never mind.
I thought we...
Ereshchuk patrolling the sidelines for the Orange. Tough first half, but that being said, she has been also met by the prowess of Ram, who has stopped her every single time that she's let a rib go.
And again, all the more impressive because this is somebody who has the strength, who has the size, who has the speed, but she is getting stopped at every turn. And you can see how close she is to the crease on some of these shots. It's been a tough day for a lot of these offensive players, and it's all because of Ram.
That was a call that not only her, but the whole Syracuse bench was incredulous about, because they thought right there that she got stepped in front of, and it should have been a free position chance for Ereshchuk, who is now 51 goals shy of her own coach, Kayla Trainer, and the program record at Syracuse. And a new member in the Syracuse cage, Kimber Hauer, taking over for the Orange. Delaney Switzer played the first 30 minutes, and we thought we'd see a little bit of this two-goalie system. And Samantha, I'm curious, how do you deal with this as a goalie, to have this two-goalie setup? Because no matter how you play, maybe it's already predetermined that you're only playing half the game.
We knew that this might be a tough setup, and honestly, it is challenging mentally because right now it does seem that they're not totally sure exactly who their starting goalie is going to be. Perhaps they will stay with both goalies for the rest of the year. But I will say something that I thought was encouraging is when these two goalies were warming up earlier, we saw them hug each other before the game, which to me shows that, yeah, they have that competitive spirit, but they're also better teammates and they're looking out for each other. That's the best situation you can be in if you are competing with one of your own teammates, is knowing they also have your back.
Yeah, we'll see how that carries over when Howard does end up getting tested. She sat behind Taylor Marino last year at North Carolina, the best goalkeeper in the country. On offense, though, Syracuse keeping it consistent. Switzer playing catch on the outside with Tyrrell, who already has a hat trick, leads all scorers with 3 goals in this one.
And one thing I will say about the traditional weave is that it moves so quickly. It's such a tough situation.
And that goal is going to count for the Orange.
It sure is, and you can see it. As I was saying, it moves so quickly, that weave. You can see it right here. Watch, just up one pass after another, and if you're trying to mark up against this offense man-to-man, that's why you get burned sometimes. And check out this finish from from Tyrrell. Doesn't get any better than that. A rip to the top cheddar, because we know that we can't be going low on Ram anymore.
And how about the ability of Tyrrell to get her hands free in that one? Because she had a stick check within about 3 feet length, and she was still able to get her hands free and find the weak spot past Ram.
Honestly, with Tyrrell, I never doubted it. She's shifty and she's quick. Always seems like she's able to find those open holes. If there is a gap, she's going to fit through it.
5 goals total for the Tyrrells tonight. Syracuse back in front 7-6. Something that has not changed for Syracuse, the draw controls. Mashevsky loses that one, but she's had the lion's share of the opportunities and the victories at the Block S.
And that's always a tough decision if you do consider, should we use somebody else? But again, you have to think about how mentally taxing that would be for someone like Mashevsky if you do take her out. And I think she's been doing a good enough job that she deserves to be out there right now.
A little two-man game going right now between Galen Liu and Caitlin Tchaikovsky. Patrolling at X is Brown, where she is so dangerous. At one point, led the country with 22 assists last season before she went down.
And you can see that Hauer also pushing out, also being aggressive. So far these goalies, you can see some similarities, but you'll definitely also see some differences in their play as well.
Cockrell opts to walk that one back, rather, and get the offense set up. Look for a moment like she was going to take a try-on cage for Ram, but maybe the prowess of Ram in net deterred some of that attacking advantage for Syracuse.
And I think, in a way, we talk about Ram and her influence throughout the course of this game. One thing that sticks out to me is that you saw some transition opportunities perhaps with Syracuse earlier on, but now they're slowing it down every time because they know we have to be looking for this perfect shot opportunity.
And Swartz got it, patrolling, looking for that opportunity, fires with the left hand, and she's stopped again. Now ball knocked around in front of cage. Infraction against the Orange. Stanford able to take possession over. So once again, Orange trying to go low on Ram, and it just simply has not worked thus far today for Kayla Trainer's group.
Ram is simply a brick wall. I'm running out of words to describe this situation. And I think we also just cannot forget about the fact that Syracuse has been shooting in a couple of different positions. It's not to say that they've been shooting all top right or all top left. Ram is going up against a lot of different shots, and she's stopping them at every turn.
From the same hometown as both Brett and Jack Kennedy, members of the Syracuse men's lacrosse team. Ridgewood, also the hometown of Owen McElroy, All-American goalie at Georgetown last season. So they know how to breed some talent between the pipes.
Ball in the hands of Liu, and you know she's going to be patient. But as we continue down the stretch, and this game is so close, it's all the more important that we are really taking care of the ball, taking care of these offensive opportunities.
And again, Stanford content to just work it around the 8-meter, an inch closer, waiting for that perfect opportunity, but this time it's thwarted by Sierra Cockrell.
Beautiful takeaway.
She's away in transition, looking for an angle, and this time she might not be pulling it back. A spin, a dodge, and a shot that goes off the side of Ram.
And wow, I have to say, despite the finish not working out, that was great the way she was able to spin through all those players.
Possession clock will be reset to 78 seconds.
Problem with the possession clock, did not reset. Now they get it working, and Syracuse's offense can move. That kind of thwarted a odd moment advantage for Syracuse. You saw right there, Harrischuk picked it up, goal line extended near side, but the referees had a call for a stoppage. So though Orange keep possession, Syracuse looking to build to a 2-goal lead for the first time in this game.
And one thing I'm impressed with by Stanford is really this entire defensive unit. They've been playing a little more conservative, playing a little more inside, and they're doing a great job. Ram, another save, one of many, but I will say the defense is doing a great job working for her.
And now let's take a look at Pittsburgh winning their first ever game as a member of the ACC in lacrosse, beating Duquesne by 1 goal, all it took to get the Panthers their first win of the season. And it's huge to continue growing the game. It's something that both these coaches, both in Spencer and Trainer, are really passionate about. Young coaches, great players who played the game not too long ago. And for another ACC school to be added, it's massive for the conference and the sport as a whole.
At the end of the day, I love to see a score like that. I love to know that Pitt won their first game. It's all about growing the game.
Frisk thought she had goal number 3, but instead it is a charge called. Stanford fans incredulous.
She's like, how could that be?
And now this is a huge opportunity for Syracuse to flip the momentum. Cardinal thought they just tied the game up. Now Syracuse with an opportunity to go up too.
And that's tough, especially when you think that call is going your way. Now all of a sudden it's a charge. Syracuse now with the upper hand.
Carney patrolling. She's already got a goal in this one. Hands off to Baxter. Getting some patient play, but with speed by the Orange.
It's weird how it's patient, but it's also fast.
And it's predicated upon not only ball movement, but player movement. You saw there a nifty cut inside by Tyrrell, pass just out of her reach. Scooped up by none other than Ram. And Danielle Spencer's group hanging tough, able to thwart one attack after the other and keep this a 1-goal deficit.
And I think it's all the more impressive when you remember that Coach Spencer said, look, for this defense, even though there's some juniors and seniors for a lot of them, it's their first time as starters.
This is one of the more, again, another rather inexperienced junior in McDonald who had it. And she gets the pass right back, clipped off her stick though, and it's picked up by Syracuse. Closed off there, and in transition, away go the Orange.
Great pass.
Baxter's got it, but an even better play on the ride by Galen Liu. Danielle Spencer was really singing her praises about how good she is on the ride, not only getting it done on offense, but also making plays happen in transition, and almost one possession back for the Cardinal.
Well, and that's the person who they look to get turnovers, and I think Lou, maybe even a little bit frustrated on that play. You can tell she was saying, look for the ball, because she was in the middle of potentially getting a turnover, but just couldn't come up with the ball.
Tyrrell appeared to get hit up high. She went down to the turf, but nothing is called. Ball ends up back in the spoon of Ram, and the Cardinal look to clear.
And right now, just a battle between two of these defenses. Back and forth we go.
Meg Carney hustling here, there, and everywhere, but Stanford able to flip the field and get the ball away on offense. And clears were an area where if you thought Syracuse was good at 13%, the Cardinal were all the way up at 5th in the country last season at nearly 93%. On the offensive end, however, it's Liu with the shot, stopped by Hauer, and it's still loose. Heading towards the end line, the dive by Hauer, unlucky. And she's out of cage.
And a risky play there, but a hustle play. It's nice to see that that's the kind of goalie that she is.
Yeah, taking a real risk going all the way towards the end line, leaving your cage empty, and she's picked up by the sophomore, Katie Goodale.
It is. It certainly was risky, but what I will say is she hustled back into the cage, and that's the most important thing. The times when you get burned are when you aren't hustling back into the cage.
Tyrrell was inches away from her 3rd goal of the game a couple moments ago. But Syracuse still keeping a 7-6 advantage. This game is getting tighter and tighter by the moment. Orange up by 1. A bevy of offense led Kayla Trainer's Syracuse group in the first half, but in this third quarter, it has been all about the defense. Some key returners across the country this year, and Syracuse has one of them.
And I always say this, it's cliche, but it's true. Offense wins games, defense wins championships. And so far in this game, we've been able to see Syracuse defense, led by Sarah Cooper, start to help as far as the Cardinal offense. They're tankering off.
Before she joined Syracuse the year before that, the Orange gave up 14 goals per game. Last year, yet another season in which the Orange allowed fewer than 10 goals per game, and a lot of that falls on the shoulders of the play of Sarah Cooper, once again named a preseason first-team All-American heading into the 2022 season.
You just can't understate Sarah Cooper's influence, alongside Asa Goldstock. That's tough, having her being graduated.
The program's all-time leader in saves, who actually broke the record of volunteer assistant Liz Hogan, who's on the Stanford side. But so far, both transfer goalies hanging tough for the Orange. None better, though, than the play of Ram in cage for the Cardinal. Tyrrell calming things down with Baxter up top. Goal line extended. Carney and Tyrrell playing catch end-to-end. Syracuse looking for its first 2-goal lead of the game here in the third quarter. A chance on the doorstep, and there it is. Goal number 4 for Megan Tyrrell, and the Orange had that 2-goal advantage.
And that is a play that you will see time and time again. It is a quick pass, you get another pass, and then you get the look. And it seems like somehow, some way, Tyrrell is the one at the end of it that's always open.
It seems like the Orange have really found a blueprint to beat Ram in cage. When you go low, she's stopping most of them, but when you get those opportunities on the advantage and you find some space in the doorstep, go high. Because every time you aim above that helmet, it seems to be finding twine.
It's shot placement, but I think it's also patience. And that's one thing that I will say about Megan Tyrrell. She's always been a patient shooter. She knows where to find those looks.
And on the other side, as a goalie, what can you do to mitigate those weak spots and kind of force the attackers to go for where you're at your strongest?
Well, I think one thing that you can do is stay big and stay patient. It's honestly the same thing on both sides. It's patient on the offensive end if you're trying to score. It's patience for a goalie if you're trying to save that ball. Because again, sometimes goalies have a tendency to shrink, especially if a fake comes. If you can stay big and stay high, it's going to be very difficult for that attacker or that midfielder to score on you.
And in turn, going high really entices the offense to go low.
Height is also a big factor. For some of those goalies that are a little taller, those higher shots are easier to save.
That's a good point. Ram at 5'9" has really stood tall in the cage today. It's one of the few times that she's been beaten by one of the most potent offenses in the nation. So how do the Cardinal respond in a huge test on the road to open the 2022 campaign? Frisk, one of the very talented freshmen in this group, actually moved up to attack because the coaching staff agreed we need her talents on offense at all times, and she needs to be up there with our best group.
I love the way Coach Spencer said, I never want to not see her on attack again. She always needs to be on the offensive side of the ball. A testament to how well she's been playing.
Yeah, and Spencer would know, right? I mean, she was an All-American at Northwestern, won 3 national titles with the Wildcats. Best way to be able to recruit attack is be one of the best to ever do it yourself.
You also really can't understate her ability to recruit. Has that experience as a recruiting coordinator at Northwestern. And she says even though now she's the head coach at Stanford, she still takes on that role. And honestly, after talking to her a couple of days ago, Tim, I think I'd be lucky to play for a coach like her. She's special.
Her energy just as infectious as her style of play and now her coaching. And she's really trying to take this Stanford team to the next echelon of lacrosse. You know, this is a team that has not made it out of the first round of the NCAA tournament in program history. And that being said, without your top freshman, without Albayako, and the woman who was projected by some to start in cage this season in Trudy Groton, the group that is currently on the turf has to hold Syracuse to just a 2-goal deficit late in the third quarter. You can't be more pleased if you're Danielle Spencer.
And this is why I always say when you think about some of the preseason rankings, to take those with a grain of salt, right? You see that Syracuse coming into the season, number 3, Stanford at number 13. This seems like a pretty even match right now.
Without a doubt, again, the pressure and the double coming towards Harishuk. They do not want to let her score. She's yet to record a tally in this one. Cardinal pushing in transition. Another successful clearance.
And it's interesting, lacrosse, it's a fast-paced game, so being down by 2, it doesn't feel like a lot, and yet it seems like Stanford and Syracuse have really both had to work really hard for every goal that they get.
And working hard, but working methodically are the Cardinal at the moment. Looking for that picture-perfect opportunity. Cooper nicely closes off any attempt at the doorstep by Brown. But with 48 left in the possession clock, Spencer's group is going to keep possession.
And the methodical play, I'm a fan of it, especially we're still in the third quarter. No real reason to rush. And I feel like Coach Spencer, the same thing. She seems cool, calm, and collected. No reason that her offense shouldn't exude that same kind of confidence.
Syracuse really packing it in, and a fantastic save right in front of her face was made by Kimber Howard.
I actually got the chance to catch up with Taylor Moreno, ask her a little bit about Kimber Howard. What kind of player, what kind of person is she? Moreno said she really strives to make connections with everybody, both on and off the field. That's the best kind of goalie there is. She's also somebody who worked hard and would stay after practice to make herself better or to make her teammates better. Couldn't have been a better review than that from Moreno.
And I think it was apparent to us just watching the warm-ups. I mean, the fact that she's hugging someone who could turn out to be her replacement in Delaney Switzer and picking up her teammate in the pregame versus just focusing on what she's got to do.
And both of these goalies really, character is A1.
3 seconds.
Did you ever think to hug any of your potential replacements at Colgate?
That's a great question, Tim. I mean, look, that's what I mean. This is a difficult situation. It's tough when you're going up against somebody on your own team. Have I ever hugged any of those people? I'd honestly have to think about it, you know? So I think to see that in the first game, Kimber Howard going up, I felt emotional watching that. I thought that was very sweet.
Plenty of hugs to go around, but they're going to rule that Meg Carney was in the crease when she let that one fly. So what could have been a late goal for Syracuse to push it to a 3-goal advantage ends up being wiped off the board. Cardinal got one last opportunity in transition in this third quarter.
And this is what I mean. It seems like every time we get close to a goal, it is somehow stripped away. Really, all of these athletes working hard out here to get these goals today.
That clock's still running, so Stanford's content to just let it keep on going and enter the fourth quarter with just a 2-goal deficit. Howard, a big reason why in cage for Kayla Trainor's group. Syracuse up by 2, and the offense is getting it going as well. 2 goals in the frame, one by Tyrrell, one by sister Megan. Orange up by 2. Well, Gary Gate might be coaching the men's team, but he is quite literally on the minds of his former players in this one, all rocking those Gate apparel face masks. And one player that's doing their best Gate impression in this one, Megan Tyrrell, with 4 goals already.
Oh, she's been sharp, she's been sneaky, she's got 4 goals, and by the way, she scored 4 or more goals in a game last year 9 times. This season, she's already 1 for 1, and there is still time left on the clock for her to score some more.
And her goal is the beneficiary of a Syracuse attack that is really pouring it on the Cardinal in terms of shots this game, because in the first half, the Orange had a slim advantage, but in that third quarter, I mean, Syracuse really shut the door on defense and made the most of its opportunities on the other end.
And you add this to the fact that Stanford so far has been held scoreless this half. So there's great things going on right now on both sides for the Orange.
And how huge is that for the confidence of Kimber Howard, right? I mean, you get your first nod starting for your new team, and you go the first 15 minutes, don't give up a single goal. She had that massive stop right in front of her own face a couple minutes ago. This Stanford team hasn't scored in over 15 minutes, and she's a big reason why.
She certainly is. A couple of really great saves right out of the gate. And I've always thought it's kind of interesting, is it better and easier to start the first half or the second half? I don't know. There's really pros and cons to both.
And right now, the defense is really driving this game for both sides. And it'll be interesting to see if Syracuse flips the script and really goes all in on offense and starts to pull away, or if that's going to continue to dictate the pace in these final 15, because to your point, this is a very fast-paced game where the Cardinal could easily be back in front within a couple minutes.
And I'll direct your attention again, we just saw on the screen, Syracuse 12 draw controls to Stanford 6. That is a big reason why they are in the lead right now. Many times it comes back to how do they perform in the draw control.
Because no matter how well your defense plays, if you have this many opportunities to make stops, it's just not going to happen. Meg Tyrrell, meanwhile, make that 5 on the day for the Tewaaraton watch lister.
And wow, it just seems like she is unstoppable on every play. That play, there were 2 defenders. She slipped past both. No matter what, she's able to find a way. Many a time, she is doing it all on her own. But again, this is a player that is a double threat. She is a dual threat because on the one hand, she can take it by herself, but she also is great off ball.
And because she's such a good facilitator, 44 assists last season, they were almost baiting her into that pass, and she slipped right through. Now you see me, now you don't, to create that 5th goal. Now 2 shy of a career high in game.
She's unpredictable, and her lacrosse IQ is just off the charts.
She studied SU lefty legends such as Riley Donahue to really learn how to hone her craft and become a complete player. And we've seen that on full display today, getting it done in all facets on offense. And this 3-goal lead for the Orange right now might feel like 10 for the Cardinal because of how close this game has been to the first 45.
And Stanford picking up that draw control just now, my opinion, one of the most important of the day. I always feel like when a team is 3 goals ahead of another, that could be a turning point. And once you get to 4, sometimes all of a sudden, that's when it starts to feel out of reach. There's a big difference between 4 goals or 2 if they score right now.
And it resulted in an opportunity on the doorstep by Tchaikovsky. And now a shot goes wide from Humphrey. Ashley Humphrey has really delivered, the redshirt freshman from Darien, Connecticut. That shot pushed just wide. But she has been massive for Spencer's group, really filling in nicely in the absence of Ali Bayaka.
And again, we're not exactly sure how long she's going to be out for, but I think sometimes when a superstar steps out of the picture, that's when you see who else can step up. A similar situation last year with Emma Tyrrell being able to step up. And who knew she was capable of all of that? I always believed in her. I played with her for a while at Mount Sinai, but still, it's pretty impressive.
The Tyrrells have been stealing the show, but Frisk gets the Cardinal back closer. Top shelf goal, but gets the Cardinal back within 2. It's 9-7.
Cannot be understated how critical that draw control was, because now instead of what could have potentially been a 4-goal difference, we are now back down to 2. And it is a doorstop shot once again. Stanford really able to find these looks so far in the middle.
And that's got to be nice for a Cardinal team that, you see right there, has not scored since the first half of play. So for Spencer's group, just to get that weight off your shoulders could really create a momentum shift, especially if the Cardinal replicates success at the Block S and win another draw.
I mean, you stole the words out of my mouth. That's the exact phrase I was going to use, because sometimes you just need to get the ball rolling. You just have to get that one goal to potentially go on a run. You don't want to let a team like Syracuse go on a run. All I know from my experience last year is that that's when things always seem to get out of hand.
And while we were told that we might see 4 different Stanford players taking draws, it's only been 2, and it seems like Mackenzie Chapman has really taken hold of that draw face-off position against Syracuse. And she's really held her own relative to Annabelle Fritz, the freshman, who just seemed a little overpowered by one of the better draw takers in the country, in Mishesky.
And you can see the draw control difference between the two getting smaller and smaller. And if they can peak here, get a couple more draw controls, they'll be peaking at just the right time.
Stanford again being patient. Still plenty of time before that real urgency sets in, down just 2 goals.
You also see how heavily Stanford relies on that X position. There's always an athlete behind the cage looking around, and I'll tell you, that makes it difficult for the goalie, because many times that will result in a feed. So if I'm a goalie, I'm watching the athlete with the ball behind, and all of a sudden you have to make a 180 turn. That's a difficult ball to stop.
Yeah, Syracuse has been paying a lot of attention to X and goal line ascended especially, and results in a shot on cage that dinged off the crossbar.
Whoever comes up with this, it's going to be a big ground ball.
Emma Tyrrell knocked to the turf. She gets crushed by not 1, not 2, but a 3rd defender even comes in as she falls to the turf and slams to the turf.
And take a look, she's just going for a hustle play here and gets absolutely crushed. It's nice to see she's up.
Yeah, she seems no worse for wear. She had an older sister to beat up on her, though, which probably helped.
She's the kind of player that will always bounce back. There's no way she was about to leave this game. But you saw on that last shot, that's why it's tough. Every time that you go for a free position, there is some risk, because again, just unlucky for Stanford, but it hit off the pipe, and now Syracuse has an offensive opportunity. Had you have held on to that ball, potentially could have been a different outcome.
Massive clearance for the Orange. Again, we see the midfielders getting it done and really pushing that transition and alleviating some pressure on Syracuse's defense.
This defensive set for Stanford, one of the most important of the game.
Cockrell controlling, drawing a double. Swart faked the flip, and now looks back at X where Carney facilitates.
If I'm Stanford's defense right now, the biggest question on my mind is, where is Megan Tyrrell?
She's got 5 of Syracuse's 9 goals today, but she didn't even touch the ball on that possession. Cardinal looking to clear. They're awarded space. And they'll have a prime opportunity to get this one past midfield. And who would have thought, with just 10 minutes to play in this game, Emily Harishuk has not scored for Syracuse.
And in a way, I understand. Just like it would be with anybody else who had an injury, it's going to take her a little bit of time to recover, to get back into the swing of things. Even if she's been practicing, which we all know she has, we all know how excited she was for this moment, it's still a different feeling being back in a game. And remember, last year she knew everybody who she was with. Now, there are some new faces that she has to familiarize herself with.
Yeah, think about it. The last time she really played, the shot there goes just wide of the cage from Ailish Kelly. The last time Harishuk really played a full season as the focal point of this team, Megan Tyrrell wasn't as established. Emma Tyrrell was not nearly as established. And yet you have all these different players coming on strong as leaders of this group. And the woman that Syracuse relied on the past couple seasons when Harishuk was healthy, now they've got other pieces. So she's really just trying to learn how to fit into that group.
Great save there. You can see Howard's fired up.
And a great stick check there by Goodell. Simkins not able to come away with the ground ball, so Stanford able to keep it as the possession clock winds under 50.
And that's the kind of play that you can see Coach Trainer potentially being unhappy with, because now a whole nother opportunity.
Just one goal this half for the Cardinal, 3 for the Orange. Plenty of offense in the first 30. This final frame has been all about the back half. A lot of attention being paid there at X to Humphrey, and she just simply throws it away. Emma Tyrrell with a golden opportunity in transition, being pursued relentlessly by Frist on the ride. She misses, Tyrrell flips, Harris-Chuck on the doorstep to Carney, and make it 6. Have a day, Megan Tyrrell. Orange up by 3.
Just the way they practice. And for Stanford, you know that that's a pass they wish that they could have back. Right into the hands of the opponent. Take a look at this takeaway. Not all that much energy or effort, it just goes right into the hands of Tyrrell. And she knows, where's my sister at? I gotta get this ball to her so she can get another goal on the day. You see Carney back in action. It's so nice to see everybody there, and let's go. Tyrrell is excited about it. She's fired up. And it's like, even though she's had 6 goals already so far, you're almost not, you still know that she has more. There could be more coming. We could see 7, we could see 8.
We've seen it before. Tyrrell has done it before for this Syracuse group. It's a Mount Sinai party right now in the Dome, and everyone's invited. Emma and Megan Tyrrell have really driven this Syracuse team. The defense has stood tall, but the offense really starting to pick it up in the second half and push this lead back to 3 goals. Could be an insurmountable advantage for the Orange. We'll see after the break. Can't ask for a much better head coaching debut for Kayla Trainer. The Orange up by 3 against the number 15 team in the country. And you look ahead for the Orange, it's only going to get tougher early on. You get to see 4 top 10 teams in your next 5 games.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And you have Binghamton, which hopefully should be a feel-good win if you're the Orange, but then you go into Stony Brook, February 20th. That is a game that I would have circled on my calendar. It's always a tough game. Something interesting and exciting to think about, Cindy Pareca, who used to be the coach for the Orange just a year ago, now coming back up to the Dome, but she's with Joe Spallina and the Seawolves.
And you quite literally have that circled on your calendar as you'll be doing it. And we talked before break about the Mount Sinai party. Everyone's invited. Stony Brook, plenty of players from that neck of the woods as well.
That'll be the most lacrosse Mount Sinai party you ever come to.
Meanwhile, Mashesky, the pride of Henrietta, New York, with another draw control win for Syracuse. The Orange with a chance to really bury the Cardinal late in this one. Right now, Cardinal defense, not as much urgency, but at what point do you expect that to pick up from the defense?
Not quite yet. At this point, still staying composed would be my game plan.
This time that shot stopped by Ram. Tyrrell thought she had 7. The keeper in net said no. These two have been doing battle all day, and Tyrrell almost had the upper hand once again. Harris-Chuck looking for space, and that first goal of the game. It said Maddie Baxter, beneficiary of a shooting space call. Maybe a chance for her to keep her goal streak going. And she ended last season with a goal in every single NCAA tournament game. Really came on strong for this group. Instead, she opts to work it back. And the Orange can set up shop as the clock winds below 8 minutes. Syracuse looking to improve to 1-0 in the season opener of the 2022 season. Tyrrell up top, Harris-Chuck with space. Bowls over a defender. And this time, Harris-Chuck does get that call.
And I think one thing that can't be understated is Harris-Chuck has a lot of pressure on her this game. And I don't even just mean from a mental standpoint, I mean physically. They are putting the pressure all over her because, again, if you're an opponent going up against Harris-Chuck, you know that that's someone you need to keep your eyes on. And on a free position, disaster.
She rips it home, and 356 agonizing days later, Emily Harris-Chuck is back where she belongs in the goal column for the Orange.
And forget about this shot. This crowd so fired up for her. I knew once she was on that free position line, that was going to be her first goal of the season. Nobody, potentially nobody, who is better at free position shots than Emily Harris-Chuck, and the person who's most excited for her, Coach Trainer.
Hey, you saw the fist bump when Trainer. You gotta wonder if it might be a little bittersweet feeling because every goal is one closer to breaking her record. But as someone who's faced an Emily Harris-Chuck shot, especially from the free position, I mean, how do you stop it?
Honestly, I wouldn't know, Tim, because the last time that I went up against Syracuse, Emily Harris-Chuck, she scored a couple on me. So ask someone else about that question. No, but in all seriousness, look, I think that Emily Harris-Chuck being able to get one goal under her belt here, there is nobody who I'm happier for than just being able to see her get back into her groove, especially after knowing how hard she worked last year to get to the exact position she's in now.
You know, most players, when they score, they spike the stick down. You saw her was more of like a, it's over. The weight's, the burden's been lifted.
It's a sigh of relief to be back on the field.
Four-goal lead is the largest of the game for either side. Syracuse could deliver a dagger in the final 6 minutes and change.
And I'll tell you, I think once it gets to that 4-goal spread, it's a turning point. There's something about when Syracuse gets on a run, 2 or 3 goals, especially 4, now it's going to be all the more difficult to stop them, especially as the clock winds down in this fourth quarter.
Cockrell with it, looking for space, and look at that one. Sierra Cockrell bangs it home, and the Orange now have a 5-goal advantage.
It's all smiles, and the thing that sticks out to me about that shot, you heard that ripper. You heard it all the way up from the booth. So many of these Syracuse offensive players have such difficult shots to stop, which is why we've been giving someone like Ram credit all day. And Kayla Trainer, so excited at this point. No way to hide it.
Cockrell was praised by her coach as the most impressive player this offseason, the real unsung hero of the midfield, someone that does the dirty work. And last season it resulted in career highs in goals, in assists, in points. It got her an All-ACC nod, and it seems like she's just scratching the surface of her potential now entering her senior year.
And you might remember a few days ago when we talked on the phone with Coach Trainer, she was just loving up on Sierra Cockrell, hoping that she gets the recognition that she deserves, because not only is this someone who's a presence in the midfield, who's a presence between the 30s and on the draw control, but she's also scoring goals today, Tim.
Now you flip it to the other side, right? Because Syracuse has a 5-goal advantage, 6 minutes left. If you're Danielle Spencer, what do you want to see from your side to take some positives out of this despite the result in the score?
I think right now you have to be switching up your plan defensively, especially since Syracuse has been winning the past few draws. I think that you'll start to see that this Stanford defense is going to start playing more aggressively, less conservatively, and you saw it just paid off as a result.
Stanford and Danielle Spencer's group, just 1 goal this entire half. The Orange have already matched their total from the first half with 6 once again, and still a couple more minutes to play.
And as per usual with Syracuse, it always seems like what it depends on is how quickly they can figure out things on the offensive end, because when this team is at its best offensively, hardly anyone can stop them.
It's a season the Orange hope will be special. They're not too happy with that. Another goal and a finish by Ailish Kelly, bouncing that one by Howard.
And that was a goal that this Stanford team really needed from a morale standpoint. You check it out, the assist, the shot, all great, and the shot placement also sticking out to me. That's a tough one for Howard to save.
And the fact that she had one of the best defenders in the nation in Sarah Cooper on her hip. No better way to cap off a hat trick for Kelly.
And all the more impressive, we're talking about somebody who's only a sophomore. And you love to see that, a hat trick or athletes playing really well when they're only a freshman or a sophomore, because you just know there's so much more to come.
Meanwhile, Mashevsky has eliminated any concern, if there was one, for Syracuse at the draw spot. She has been phenomenal today and really putting a lot of pressure on an inexperienced draw group for the Cardinal.
And that's why I truly do feel, even if Mashevsky misses out on a couple of draws, I don't think that anybody on that Syracuse coaching staff even mills over the possibility of taking her out, because that's how good she is. And she's only a junior.
14 draw controls in total for Mashevsky and the Orange. Big reason why Syracuse holds this 4-goal advantage as we get under 5 minutes to play in the season opener of a season that Syracuse hopes results in some pretty special things. Meanwhile, Cardinal looking to make it a 3-goal game again. Errant pass thrown well away from Cage, where Kelly goes to scoop it up.
And as the clock continues to wind down, this is a place where you have to be patient, but you also have to be on the move.
And Syracuse also worth keeping in mind, the Orange, without someone who might end up starting on defense in Bianca Chevrolet. She was recruited as a midfielder. And because of Syracuse, all that turnover on the defensive end, trainer says that they're going to be using her on defense this season. Not available for this game. Don't know when she will be back for the team. But that being said, it'll be really interesting to see how she slots in back there, because the group that has played today has performed admirably. I mean, to hold a top 15 team, albeit without two of their best offensive weapons, to 8 goals is phenomenal. Make it 9.
What a shot. Nothing that excites me more and that I like seeing more than a free position shot by any player where they hardly even take a step off the line. She knew it. Wind up, 1 step, ripper.
I mentioned a little earlier how Brown and Kearney are relatively close to each other in Texas. Kearney from McKinney, Brown from Dallas, Texas. They suffered ACL tears a week apart. They had their surgeries 10 days apart, and they rehabbed at the same facility. Those two kept in constant communication. They both rehabbed at Oak Fit in Dallas, and Brown said earlier this week, talking with Syracuse, she said, look, that's fate. I don't know what else to chalk it up to be. The fact that we're making our returns to the field in the same game, wouldn't want it any other way for the two Texans and longtime friends.
It really is. It's so special. And of course, both of these teams, they're looking for the win. But at the end of the day, just to know that everybody's healthy and everybody's having fun, that's all I would root for. I just want both teams to have fun.
Cardinal having a little more fun getting this back within a 3-goal deficit, but clock not in their favor. And that urgency we talked about might be starting to set in for Danielle Spencer's group.
And still down 3, but I will say, even if it gets to the 3-minute mark, a goal a minute, that's well within reach.
Still only 3 this half total for Stanford. A little wraparound, sharp angle try by Brown, stopped by Hauer. Baloo able to get the ground ball, and now twisting behind her head with it. And they're going to give possession to the Cardinal. Hauer beside herself. She thought surely Syracuse would be the beneficiaries there.
But what a play by Lou, being in the right place at the right time. That was a save by Hauer. That should have been going the other way. And all of a sudden, we're setting up on the offensive end with Stanford yet again. Free position opportunity, and still you'll see she chooses not to take it. Not a great hash. I agree with that decision.
And that time gets too close to the crease, so no matter what happens, Cardinal forced to give up possession. Orange take over. Syracuse clinging to that 3-goal lead, and they get a huge break here.
And check out that collision. Lots of contact, and it'll go in Syracuse's favor this time.
Goodale has stepped in pretty seamlessly for a defensive unit that lost 3 of its 4 starters from last season. And still Syracuse able to keep this Stanford offense relatively at bay. Cardinal averaged over 16 goals per game last season and scored another 13 against Denver in the NCAA tournament, just 9 today.
And as this clock winds down, you'll see Syracuse as patient as they've ever been. They want to wind this clock down. They want to keep the ball on the outside. If I'm Stanford, I'm pressuring out more, and I'm doing it right now.
Yet to see that urgency be put on display from the Cardinal. And Meg Tyrrell knows it, content to just wait for the double. And the rest of her teammates follow suit. Savannah Switzer tried to get into the scores column herself. Knocked to the turf, and she'll have an opportunity straight away from 8 meters.
And another collision, some contact. It'll result in a free position, and whether this goes in or not, again, just on full display how many offensive weapons this team has. A nice save.
Switzer, sisters with Delaney Switzer, who started the first half for the Orange in goal. Gave up 6, gave way to Kimber Hauer, who was given up 3 in the second half, but an unbelievable play, meanwhile, in the midfield. Mondiello able to somehow keep that in play, and her team able to come away with it.
You look up the definition of a hustle play, that's it.
It's been a big day for Merriam-Webster here at the Carrier Dome. Flipping ahead to Mondiello, but before that was called, looks like there was a timeout called for. And I think that Danielle Spencer wants to talk it over a little bit with her group before the final 90 seconds. But to do that, I mean, you're going to have to probably talk about stopping Megan Tyrrell, because she is the difference in this one with 6 goals.
I mean, offensive weapon does not even begin to describe it. Everything that you're about to see right now, this is all just from the second half, not even including the first half action. But again, that Tyrrell connection, the Meg connection, it is all back on full display here in the Carrier Dome.
Can't ask for a better start to her last go-around with the Orange. And with 6 goals, 7's definitely in reach, but the score of this game might dictate that she's just going to hold it back and keep it close to the chest, because Syracuse 90 seconds away from taking home win number 1 of the season. You look ahead for the Stanford side, however, and things are going to get a little easier, and then they're going to pick up once again, because before Pac-12 play, the Cardinal have games at UAlbany on Sunday. You got that Virginia swing coming up against the number 11 team in the country, and mixed in there is a crucial home game against a Denver team that bounced the Cardinal from the tournament last season.
And that's the game I think that sticks out the most to me. It hurts knowing that you lost to them in the NCAA tournament last year. That is a game where you have an opportunity for redemption.
Stanford trying to make the most of these East Coast road trips that Spencer hopes really prepares them for games down the road. Again, this is a team that hadn't had much trouble with Pac-12 play last season, but it was the non-cons. It was only one non-con last year against Denver that downed this group. So win or loss, this game is critical, and she knows. And some of the things that she picked out as keys to success were you didn't want to tailor to the opponent too much. You just need to compete on the draws, shoot well, support the ball on D. They've done the latter two, but it's been the draws that have really driven the difference in this game.
I will say she did mention slowing down the opponents in transition. I think that's something they've done a great job with finishing shots. They're trying, but wow, what a save by Hauer.
That is a big stop by Hauer, and she knows as she's motioning with her fist. Just about 60 seconds to go in this one. Syracuse can really wind down some clock.
And some of these saves by Hauer, all the more impressive considering that she came in the second half. That's not an easy thing to do.
Remember Hauer, two-time All-State pick in high school, invited to train with the U19 women's team, and she's showing you why right now. Held the Cardinal that scored 6 goals in the first half to just 3 in the second, along with a defensive group that really came along nicely. And the Orange on the field getting serenaded by the home fans as Syracuse well on its way to improving to 1-0 this season.
And it's nice even just to hear those cheers, to hear fans back in this stadium.
Clock's winding down, and there's only 15 seconds left until Kayla Trainer has officially won a game as head coach of the Syracuse Orange, a program that she represented so well as a player just a couple of years ago.
And I'm sure that a lot of these cheers, that's who they're for. They're for Kayla Trainer. All across Twitter, social media platforms today, everybody, an outpouring of support for Kayla Trainer because she has impacted so many people's lives in a positive way.
She said the mantra for this year's team was roots. Well, this is a great place to start growing. Syracuse starts the season 1-0, beating Stanford 12-9 here in the Carrier Dome. Kayla Trainer picks up her first win as head coach of her alma mater, serenaded by hugs around the Orange with a great start to the 2022 campaign. 6 goals by Megan Tyrrell led the Orange to victory. The defense stepped up really nicely in the second half, giving just 3 goals up to Stanford. Trainer wins here first with the Orange. The 2022 group wins their first in this season. For Samantha Croston, Tim Nolan, and our entire AC Network Extra crew, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.